The NHL is terrified of the Toronto Maple Leafs with their top defensive prospect winning awards in the OHL, and they make a sneaky signing by bringing in another NCAA player that's going to change the future of this team. We have a lot to break down in this series, so we're just going to hop straight into the first topic today, where we do know the Toronto Maple Leafs drafted Ben Danford last year, and he did win the Bobby Orr Defenseman of the Year in the OHL with the Oshawa Generals. I mean, just looking at his development going through the OHL, what is your initial thoughts on just how well Ben Danford is turning out?
Yeah, he's been great this season. He's turning out to be a pretty solid defensive option for the Leafs. And the other thing, it's going to be a trend in this video, big body back there on the defensive end. And Brad Living likes those players. We know that he's trying to retool the team in that way. He's throwing big hits. He was just suspended in the OHL for starting a line brawl against Brampton, who they're playing in the playoffs. And let me just say, we'll get back to Danford as a player in a second. If you live in the GTA, and you have an opportunity to go watch any of these games in the playoffs, again, it's Brampton versus the Oshawa Generals in the first round this year. There is so much talent in that series. Definitely go check that out. Porter Martone, projected top 3 pick, is in that series. Obviously, Ben Danford, you got Colby Barlow, Beckett Seneca is on the Oshawa Generals as well. There's a lot of talent in that series, so go check that out if you can. But again, back to the player. He's had a fantastic season. Again, he's not going to put up any wicked point numbers, anything like that. He's not that type of defenseman, but I think he's going to be a solid defenseman. There's not too many of these around, right? There's always those skill guys, the smaller defensemen who are putting up points at this point, right? In the last 10 years, we've seen those, right? And those go in the draft for sure. But the Leafs are trying to build a heavy team heading into the future. And this guy can chip in offensively at times, as we've seen with the Generals this year. But I feel like moving forward, Mark, he's going to have a spot on this team in the future. This is not a guy that they drafted and he's going to like fizzle out or anything like that. He's continuing to develop. He's going to be a really good NHL player. Is he going to be in the NHL next year? Probably not. Like I would imagine at some point he's going to play with the Marlies first. I feel like that's probably his progression, but I feel like at some point if they're careful and patient with him, he's going to be a solid NHL defenseman. And obviously, I think that's going to work out with when his contract was signed and when some of the guys like OEL, Chris Tanev, their contracts are ending, or they end up on Robida Island, one or the other.
Because, I mean, the biggest thing is looking at Danford. Nope, that's Brad Living. But looking at Danford, we do know 19 years old. He's a big defenseman, 6'2". We've seen from the hits in the intro video, this kid's going to be a wrecking ball. And as you said, the Leafs defensive core is going to be huge. I mean, it's huge as it is. Brendan Carlo was recently picked up 6'5". Correct me if I'm wrong. Tanev's a hard-nosed, big defenseman. Even OEL himself, 6'2". McCabe's a big, heavy defenseman. Everyone on this Leafs appearance are people that can throw hits minus 20. Morgan Riley, but I mean, let's not talk about that right now. But looking at Danford, I like what you said, and I agree. Listen, he does have 2 more years after this year. He'll get with the Toronto Marlies. Maybe in year 3 of this, we see him make a push in training camp, but I could see once he signs his new deal, making his debut with the Leafs, maybe on the back end, it lines up perfectly, like you said, with guys like OEL, even Tanev, who's getting up. And listen, it's a long contract, but Robidas Island is an option. Ask Joffrey Lupul himself. Players can go there very easily. But listen, Darius, looking at this, with Danford, what do you think his projection is? Could you see a top 4 shutdown defenseman in his future?
Definitely, he's going to be a top 4 guy. I don't know about a top pairing defenseman. I'm not sure about that at this point in time. At least we don't know exactly yet, and he's still in the OHL. I want to see how it translates his game to the pro level, especially with the Marlies first, and then we'll talk about top pairing minutes. It's definitely possible, right? But I think that he's going to be a top 4, shutdown guy. And again, I think that his timeline is going to match up perfectly when OEL is up, when Chris Tanev is also up, or on Robida Island, whichever one comes first, like we've been talking about. And obviously Brandon Carlo too. He has 2 years left after this year, so maybe there's some overlap there, or maybe right when his contract's up, Ben Danford comes up, and then he's the future of the team in the top 4. So I don't know exactly where he's going to slot in yet. It's too early to tell, but I think that in terms of his ceiling, I mean, he probably could be a top pairing guy who could play with Morgan Riley right now if he was a little bit older, right? Like we're seeing with Brandon Carlo, but We'll see what the future holds. I think he has a very high ceiling, and I think that he brings a lot to the game that is hard to find right now. Because again, you can find all the skill. There's so many skilled players right now that can shoot the puck into the back of the net, make passes, can see the ice very well. But guys like him that have the snarl and the fact that he's not afraid to get his hands dirty and stuff like that and use his body, I feel like there's not too much of that around right now. So I'm glad that he's in the Leaf system. And again, they didn't trade him at the trade deadline. I'm happy about that as well, and I think that he's going to develop nicely.
And I mean, looking at this, the Leafs didn't really stop. We seen them yesterday sign Luke Haymes to a 2-year contract beginning in 25-26. He will join the team for the remainder of the year on an amateur tryout, but he's another, yet again, NCAA guy coming into the system. 12 goals, 6 assists for 18 points in 22 games with Dartmouth College. I mean, looking at this as well, Darius, what's your thoughts on just him joining this team and his future with the Leafs?
First of all, I think it's great for his development to join the team. Not the NHL squad obviously is going to be with the Toronto Marlies on an ATO for the rest of the year. So you're not burning a year off his contract. It's going to start next year. He gets to get it, into the pro level right away. He can see kind of how things operate for the rest of this season. Maybe he gets into games and gets used to that. So I think that's fantastic, first of all. And then he gets to, obviously work with the Leafs development staff through the summer. And then he can come in next year and maybe, challenge for a spot. Maybe not make the team, but at least challenge for a spot and then probably, be on the Marlies and then work his way up. But I think at some point, this is going to be an everyday NHLer. From everything that we've heard the last little while, this was the most highly sought after free agent in the NCAA this year, right? This was the guy to go get most teams were looking at. So he's put up pretty incredible numbers, especially since he was last seen in the Leafs development camp, which was in 2023. He's been playing fantastic in the NCAA. And then again, I think he's going to be an everyday NHLer at some point. He has great face-off numbers. He attacks the middle of the ice. He's a natural center. So I feel like they actually did a really good job of, obviously, they traded away Fraser Minton at the trade deadline, right? So you had to restock the cupboard a little bit. They did that last week, signing a defenseman as well in Prokop. And then obviously now doing this is the guy who's going to, fill in the role that, Fraser Minton, or the hole, I should say, that Fraser Minton left when he got traded. So now you have Brandon Carlo on the main roster, which I think is fantastic asset management. And then you have this guy that you just signed essentially for free out of the NCAA. So I think he's going to slot in at some point, maybe not next year, but I do think he challenges. He's a skilled player. And in typical fashion, because it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, as soon as he was signed by the Leafs, all you see on X and all these different social platforms is, oh, he's not a good player anymore. And he never was a good player. But no, he's a fantastic player. I think Leafs fans should be excited about this player. Pump the brakes a little bit. Let's be patient, just like I mentioned with Ben Danford. I think they're going to be great players at some point. But let's let him develop with the Toronto Marlies. But again, I think it's great that he'll join the team for the second half, not even the second half, the last, 20, 15 games or so with the Toronto Marlies and get some pro experience under his belt.
And I mean, the numbers don't lie on me either. You can pause and you can read through this. You can see he was named to the 2023-2024 NCAA All Ivy League first team. He has the stats. He has the accolades. He does look like a player that can come out and make an immediate impact with the Marlies going into the playoff hunt. And listen, correct me if I'm wrong, Bobby McMahon was also a free agent signing or just an undrafted guy they signed as well. The Leafs have a great scouting staff, and guys like this could come in and be a diamond in the rough. I mean, we're seeing Bobby McMahon looking like a consistent 20-goal scorer at this rate with the Leafs. But guys, listen, what's your thoughts on the Leafs' future? What's your thoughts on the prospects coming up? Are you excited for this year and the years to come? Who's your favorite prospect that maybe we didn't talk about? Because maybe we'll do a video on that as well. But that'd be it for this episode of Hat Trick HQ. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go down and leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back with another episode, so keep your eye out for that. But I've been your host, Mark Pye, with my co-host Darius, and take care.